Turn them into Googleites, yeah. So
I think they had a program a little while back about being in the Google company.
Well, Google, it's all just a tool. You like PBS.
Yeah.
PBS is definitely slanted into what it presents and what it doesn't present.
Yeah.
You know, it's slanted. And if you sit there and listen to it, and you listen to the commentary, then you're eventually, and you believe what it says, and you know, then you're gonna go that route. Fox News, if you listen to it, is definitely slanted. CNN is a little more subtle. It's not as blatant as Fox or PBS or MSNBC, but it's definitely slanted too. And what I think is there are a lot of people that are beginning to realize, wait a second, I don't have to take what's given to me in that sense. I can make my own decision. Let me see it unfiltered. Let me make the decision. Don't let some editor or program manager or program director tell me what I'm supposed to think or believe. Now, part of the problem is that obviously some of the programming requires money, and you're only going to get it if you're funded, right?
Right.
You know, or you got some kind of backing that has it. You know, it's people out doing wildcat videos, independent videos. They have no funding. They're doing it on their own. You know, but increasingly, look at the figures on network TV viewing. In the 60s, I think you would get, some of the shows would get like 60 million viewers on a show. Now, nothing gets over 4 or 5 million. Nothing. It's because, first off, cable destroyed all of that because you got 500 channels you can pick it. And increasingly, people are even turning away from that. They're going in, I can look what I want to see and search for what I want to see in the way that I want to present. I don't even need the cable anymore. I can go another route. So what I find is interesting is that folks tend to get frozen, and there's this belief that I remember Schwarzenegger, when he became governor, he was talking about the pattern of the past for California, that it would always turn around and the tax revenues would go up and this and that. Well, it didn't do that under Schwarzenegger, did it? It didn't do that, and he ended up leaving kind of in disgrace, kind of a flop. And now, California is in trouble. And then that you still see people.
No, wait a minute. What was it that it did before?
Oh, well, there's always ups and downs, and the economy recovers, and the tax revenues go up, and we can afford to pay for all the stuff that we now can't afford to do. Well, it didn't recover. Didn't do that. And so many of the business people would say, well, the next year's going to be better, and we can hire again, and sales will go up. Well, what if the sales don't go up? What if they go flat, or what if they go down? Then what are you going to do?
And they spend all the money.
You spend your 401k, you spend your retirement, you take the equity out on your house, and blah, blah, blah. And then what? When you can't do any more of that, you borrow from your friends and neighbors, then what? Then what happens? And that was where we were seeing people when we left, and it's still the same thing. And my view is the changes are fundamental, and one of those is those institutions that we knew 30, 40, 50 years ago are now permanently changed, and to a certain extent, a lot of them don't want to change, and they're becoming increasingly obsolete. Education is a good one. Education is not based on cognition and learning.
Yeah, right.
It's based on what your professor knew or what they were taught. So when you come out of school, you're going to go into the workforce. You're going to apply to that workforce what you were taught in school. That's what you're going to know. That is why in technology you can't go to school for that, can you? Doesn't work. You can't go to college to learn technology.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do that. No, you got to work. You got to go to work in a company or a startup or something like that to be on the front line, because what you go to college and learn is already obsolete, because that's what your professor knows and that's what you're taught. So it doesn't work. But I find it amazing that people want to hold on to that, because there's somehow a mental and individual investment in it. That, golly gee, you can't see these institutions that we knew and that we believed in and loved so much, that we based everything on, all of a sudden crumble or change or morph into something else. can't adapt to that. And so the mantra now is you adapt to survive, and then you thrive. You don't just thrive because you're good little boys and girls and did the right thing. That's gone. That's obsolete. Do that and see where you get. Well, if you're a college grad, you can end up 80, 100K in debt and not have a job, right? Or if you're a business person thinking that, well, the recession, they say, oh, we've been out of the recession for a year. Yeah, who has? Google has. Google's not in a recession.
Yeah.
So why is that?
Apple.
Apple hasn't. Apple hasn't. But look at Bank of America. Stock's what, $5 a share now?
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
All the banks are going down. Yeah. And you see somebody like, I remember Alan Greenspan saying he couldn't believe that the banks would screw their customers like that. Bernanke said the same thing. Obama says the same thing. We bailed out the banks, and then they turn around and screw their customers and they're not going to do anything for the country. Well, there was that guy, I forget who he was from, Lehman Brothers or one of those, and they asked him, they said, sir, you were selling product that you developed, mortgages, or they were like derivatives, some kind of derivative mortgages, and the housing market was going down, and you knew it was going down because you guys were in the market. That was your business. And yet you packaged this product and sold it to your customers knowing they were going to lose their money. Why did you do that? He said, sir, you don't understand. It's our job to make money. Mm-hmm. It's our job to do it. We saw a business model that would work. And we did it. We made a pile of money. They got fined, what, $500 million? But they made billions on it. Who knows? They made billions on it, And they turned around and they were actually selling a product that they knew their customers, their investors were going to lose on. And yet, the guy was like, he said, "Why? What a silly question. We sold it to them because what he said was there was a market for it. They wanted to buy it, so it was, we packaged it and sold it to them." Well, didn't you think that because you had the internal knowledge in the company that what you were selling them, they were going to lose their money? He said, "Oh, well, you don't understand, Congressman. You don't understand, do you?" Because what it meant was, it's our job to make the money, and we saw the business model, and there was a demand, so, hey, what do you think? And so Bernanke did the same thing. I can't believe it, He said the same thing as Greenspan, So, basically, that's why I think you see people wanting to support someone like Ron Paul, because he's, Ron Paul's against everything. College loans for students, Federal Reserve,
CIA.
Military, CIA, military, And so, there's a lot of sympathy for that. People were his supporters are very fervent. They firmly believe he's going to win.
I don't see that happening. But then again, who knows?
Well, at this point, what you've got is, in that you're going to have a Romney who is a weak candidate going against Obama, who's loaded with money and got support, and Obama's probably going to beat him. Amazing as it is. How about some okra?